don't know that we know too much about this series, really. I thought there were some drastic overreactions after game one. It seemed people thought that, like, Jason Tatum's poor shooting, was he 3 of 17 or something, that it was offset by the fact that Boston made 50% of their threes on 40 attempts. And that's just not how it goes. You'd rather Jason Tatum score 35 points than have Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard go 17 of 26 or whatever they went from the 3-point line. Like, you'd much rather let Jason Tatum just get his than have all those other guys be raining down threes on your head. And then in game two, I thought it was weird because the Warriors, they didn't play particularly well in the first half, at least, I thought, and then they came out guns blazing in the third with Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, who didn't even play the fourth, but they played Klay Thompson. Draymond Green played well, but Klay didn't shoot great. I think Looney shot well, but he only shot the ball 6 times. I think he was 6 for 6, and it was just, I don't know. It's kind of weird where you look at a game like that and you look at some of these big quarters. And for the Celtics, their big quarter, I guess, was a little bit more where you could look at something and they just hit a bunch of threes. I think they were 8 for their first 8, or maybe 8 of their first 9 or something in that fourth quarter from beyond the arc. And then for the Warriors, you still looked at the final stats and it didn't seem like, people really just went off in the way that I guess you'd expect. Like, Steph scored 29 and 21 shots because he was 5 of 12 from 3, but that's Steph Curry. That's what you expect. And then you look at everyone else, Poole, I think he had 14 shots and scored 17 points on those. So not terrible by any means, but you didn't have somebody score like 30 points who you thought probably wasn't going to do that like you did with Al Horford in, game one for the Celtics.
Yeah, completely different games all around. You and I obviously dealt with a lot of people that thought this series is over. The Celtics, if they could do this with Tatum not scoring at all and Tatum dishing out 13 assists, then this series is a wrap. Well, it's nice to think that way, but then you're also assuming that Al Horford is going to continue to get you 26 points on 9 for 12 shooting, that Smart's going to continue to be, prolific from deep, 4 for 7, 7 for 11 overall for 18. Derek White, 21 points on 6 for 11, 5 for 8 from deep. And then Brown obviously did his thing, 24 points on 10 for 13. Now, Brown, you're expecting it from. But Marcus Smart, never been that great offensively. Al Horford, never been that great offensively. Derek White, we still don't know what he could be. He's still pretty young in this league and has been a backup point guard the entire time he's been in the NBA for the most part. So, exactly as you said, nothing that you would think is sustainable. There's a reason they're role players and not superstars. Superstars put these numbers up consistently. Role players do them once in a while. And then, to fall back well below the median in game two in this one where, Brown had 17 on 17 shots. Thank you, Draymond defense. But you look at a group of guys that went 15 of 23 from deep in game one for Horford, Smart, and White. They combined for 16 points in game two on just 6 for 23 shooting. Now, they're not that bad, but they're not as good as they were in game one either. So you can't assume that either one of these things that you've seen in these first two games are what's going to be lasting throughout this series. The Warriors made the necessary adjustments they needed in game two. They gave a much better effort on defense. Overall, across the board, every single player played much better across the board defensively than they did in game one. I think they, got caught with their pants down in game one. They thought they had this game in the bag. You're up a dozen going into the fourth. We're at home. The crowd's rocking and rolling. We're going to continue to be rocking and rolling. Steph had 21 points in the first quarter. Followed it up with a big fat 0 in the second, which is just ridiculous. And I'm almost positive if we look at the all-time NBA record for points in a quarter, Isaiah Thomas with 25 in the third on a messed up ankle. Even on that messed up ankle, I'll bet you he didn't have 0 points in the fourth quarter, Ryan. So just it's a weird game in general in game one where everything looked like it was going Golden State's way, and then the fourth quarter happened and it completely turned around. And in game two, didn't know what to make of it by halftime. Got two teams battling. Neither one's really out-dueling the other. And then the third quarter happens, and Boston didn't come out of the locker room at halftime, basically. So two very weird games and a very weird series. We've already talked about how we really don't know what to expect or how to pick this series. These two games, Ryan, didn't help me at all.
No, me neither.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what?